We're living in a new reality. It's been evolving for decades, but suddenly accelerated through the pandemic of 2020. Our responses to this new context run the spectrum from eager anticipation of a hopeful future to debilitating and divisive fear. As such, we're experiencing a dramatic divergence from the known and traditional to the unknown and alternative. We are presently a culture unsure. So how do we progress? How do we emerge from this present uncertainty to a new context marked by fear-free confidence and acknowledged responsibility? When we envision the best of a new reality, we begin by acknowledging our collective failures in owning our responsibility. It's perhaps the lesser part of being human, but we're prone to blame and shame others for the sorry state of things without looking deeply into ourselves for our contributions to the maladies resident across our culture. Said another way, perhaps the guilty party who must confess is us. Carl Jung's words resonate. What if I should discover that the least among them all, the poorest of all the beggars, the most impudent of all the offenders, the very enemy himself, that these are within me, and that I, myself, stand in need of the alms of my own kindness, that I myself am the enemy who must be loved. What then? Changes are needed in the world, in our culture, but we are concerned that perhaps the wrong problems are being pursued. When seeking to resolve observable challenges, it's critical to be solving the right problems, the roots that produce the outcomes. Social inequities, racism, and growing poverty. Unhealthy food supply chains, places and spaces and relational constructs. Environmental extremes resulting in organic debilitation across multiple dimensions. Political and religious posturing seeking to dominate yet resulting in marginalization, exclusion, and the absence of responsible compassion. Are these the problems or the outcomes of deeper, more pervasive roots? We are all witness to the deep damages emanating from person-to-person prejudice, emotional and physical unhealthiness, and the litany of irresponsibility of humans towards the biosphere. Each of these dimensions of damage and destruction boil down to choices. We choose to hurt and hate one another, drawing lines in the social sand that others dare not cross. We choose to inundate ourselves with negative, violent, dark, and dysfunctional sounds, images, and relationships that result in deeply unhealthy mental frameworks and perspectives. We choose to create places and spaces that result in emanating concentric circles of unhealthiness in our society, community, neighborhoods, and immediacy. We choose to consciously neglect educating our populace, children through adults, about the ethics of healthiness. We choose to turn blind eyes to irresponsible land development, natural resource exploitation, and manufacturing absurdities that ruinously alter our ecology, environment, and climate. We choose, we choose, we choose. Imagine 100 leaders owning this sacred charge to advance inclusive equity, to promote and work towards healthiness in everything we put ourselves to, and to make choices centered in biospheric values. Imagine us collectively owning this inextricable triplet of opportunity. Imagine, imagine, imagine. The wonder of healthy democracies is found in the melting pot of diversity that coalesces and unifies around the freedom of diversity expressed in civil manners. We have yet to fully experience this wonder wholly, as for far too long, segments of our diversified whole have been marginalized. Exploitation coupled with fear has been tolerated for so long that it seems an insurmountable challenge to alter, change, or eliminate. But it's not. It's a choice each of us make every day in every situation. We can choose to accept one another. We can choose to make space for others, We can choose to offer a lift to the downtrodden. We can choose to be generous towards those with less. It takes all sides owning their responsibility. Each must come to the table, arms empty of judgment and predetermined perspective. Beneath the surface of our skin, we are the same flesh and blood, but such is not the case when it comes to self-perceptions or perceptions of others. Generations of judgments and actions have formed our will in a way to where we accept it's just the way things are and nothing can change it. But that's a lie we choose to accept, believe, and live out. At DesignIntelligence, we offer that the most effective way to move towards trust when offense, hurt, and division have occurred between people is for one or both of the parties to risk a conversation. Bringing disparate parties together requires both listening to and hearing the other, and somewhere in the exchange, common threads will emerge from which a new and viable relationship can be woven. Make no mistake about it. This is hard, emotionally draining work. It calls the best from each to let go of the worst of each. It requires a magic beyond knowledge. It requires the hard-won gift of understanding. Perhaps together we can grasp what is too often left untouched. Perhaps this is the moment of understanding.